Well, at one point, you got summoned to meet with Whitey.
And this is where it comes in. Thank you.
There we go.
So after all that was said with Billy Shea, the boss, wanted me to have my own customers. And at that time, he said to me, and by the way, Red, when you bring the kilos back, take a little bit out and sell it to your customers and give me a piece of that. I didn't like that. That's not who I am. If I'm with you, I'm doing business with you, and we're a team, I'm not looking to fuck you. I'm not looking to screw you. I didn't like that. So I thought about it. I mentioned to a friend of mine. I said, this son of a bitch, he wants me to do this. I said, he's kind of putting me in a bad position because he's going to weaken the product. And if you weaken the product, they're going to know and they're going to complain, and then it's going to fall on who? Me. So I mentioned it to a friend of mine. He says, well, not for nothing, Red. He said, he is the boss, right? I said, yeah. He said, and you're only doing what the boss asks, right? I went, yeah. He said, so if the guys on the crew ask you, say, talk to the boss. Makes sense? I said, yeah, you're right. So I left it at that. So, of course, what I said comes to fruition. The guys come in the crew. They complain. They went to fucking Whitey. They went to Whitey. And then they came to me. I said, hey, don't talk to me. Go talk to the boss. Oh, he said you. I goes, oh, yeah, I'm sure he did say me. So they went back to Whitey with it. And Whitey said, you know what? I know that young guy. I know the guy. I know the characters, the two characters. I know the boss. I know it was his scheme. I know it is. The young guy wouldn't have done that without his okay. He's loyal. So Billy Shea was living in Florida. He got a phone call. He said, they said, you got to come back to Boston. You got to come back. Whitey wants to talk to you, wants to see you. Is everything okay? He was nervous. Yeah, everything's okay. He wants to see you. Oh, Whitey, Stevie, they got a hold of him, and they told him, listen, you made me a lot of money over the years. What you did is wrong. And the only reason I'm not killing you is because you made me a lot of money. But you're going to retire from this. Go back to Florida and don't ever fucking come back again. Do you understand me? He was shaking his boots, because he was lucky. He was saying in his own mind, Jesus Christ, I could have been whacked right now. And he was mad at me. Fuck him. Mad at me for what? Because you were trying to throw me under the bus? I knew the score, what you're going to do. And guess what? I was a young guy. Whitey knew that. He knew I wasn't trying to pull a stunt like that. So he got sent down. He got sent away. So I get a call. And I say, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I'll meet you in a minute. Kevin Weeks. I get the call. I go into they had a Rotary store. I go into the store. It's empty. He says, I want to show you something in the basement. We got, yeah, sure. What is it? Not thinking that, nothing's wrong. I get down in the basement. Yeah, what do you want to show me? I turn around. And there they are with Uzis on me in the basement.
So Whitey
and Kevin
both have Uzis.
And he says, tell us about your friends, your other friends. How much money do they have? Guys that were doing business, I was doing business with. And I said to him, whatever money they have is the money that I helped them make. That money comes from me. So then all of a sudden, They cocked the Uzi. Tell us about them. I said, I'm not telling you anything. I just told you. Whatever they have is all through me. Now do what you have to fucking do. That's exactly what I told them. Do what you have to fucking do. I was ready to die at that moment. I don't know how many people that do that in life. Do you?
Yeah, not too many.
I wasn't going to give my friends up for fucking nothing, Vlad. And I'm that way today. And that's why I don't like informants. And that's why I don't like rats. And when I hear excuses from these rats, it makes me sick. Because, you know, they say, oh, Red Shea was only facing 12 years at the time. Well, you know what? I wasn't facing 12 years. I was facing 20 to life. I had an 848. That's a kingpin status in the federal code. That's 20 to life. I was facing 20 to life in prison. When I was interrogated, they said to me, you know, you're getting at least 40 fucking years. And I was handcuffed, of course. And I was getting yelled at. So why don't you tell us everything? So I said to him, I stood up and I said, does it get any worse than life? Does it get any worse than life? End of fucking story. That was the end of the interrogation. And then they put me into like a holding closet, not even a cell, a closet with a door. No windows, no nothing to try to make me turn and torture me. I wouldn't do it. I would never do it. Even if you ratted against me, I wouldn't do it, Vlad. You know why?
Why is that?
Because that's, when we grew up in Southie, you never ratted on anybody. That was the code. And the same way in the mafia world, whether it's the Irish mob or the Italian mob or the Russian mob, the same thing. It's no different. You do not rat at all.
Well, when you didn't tell on your friends, Whitey says that was actually a test to see what you would do.
And that's when he said, it was all a test.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be the guy now, Red. You're going to be the guy.
Right. So you took over Whitey Bulger's drug business.
I took it over.
And that was his biggest revenue stream.
Yes, his biggest revenue entity.
How much were you guys making per month?
Vlad, I mean, like I said, I was walking away at that time every 2 weeks, 150,000 in my pocket as a young kid at that time. And then it became even more because I was selling even more at that time. So just do the math, you know?
Well, now you're working with Whitey directly. And you learned a few things about the way that Whitey operates. I find this part interesting. These are Whitey's rules. Don't do anything in haste or anger. Always have the radio on when talking business. Dress inconspicuously, not like the fucking Italians.
Yep.
Have your fun out of town.
Yep.
Put your women in white cars so you can spot them.
Yeah, he loved doing that with his women.
And the most important thing as a gangster, don't do anything someone can hold over you.
That is correct.
Explain the last part.
I think he was talking about, you know, if you're going to whack someone, do it alone. That way no one could ever hold it over your head.
During this time, when you take over the drug business, was Whitey killing people?
At that time, no. I think he did it all his killing prior to that. And I don't think anybody was looking to anger him by any means.
Okay. So you weren't involved in any of those things?
I was not involved in any murders with Whitey Bulger.
It was just the drugs?
Yes.
Okay. So you started to crank up and get more product. And at one point, you hooked up with a guy named Jesus,
Jesus, yes.
and that became your main connect.
That is correct. And after Jesus, as I said, I had another connection
On top of that.
that was delivered to my door in Boston.
Got it. And Whitey himself had no kids, no wife.
Well, he had a kid, but nobody really knew about it.
Oh, okay.
And it didn't come out till years later. And that kid died when he was young.
Got it. But in general, he was just a cold
He had no kids.
gangster that
He could come and go and whenever he needed. And he always had that escape plan, if you will. He had safety deposit boxes throughout Europe and stuff like that for him to go on the run if he ever needed to.